We're not live yet.
Okay. Oh, okay. All right. No problem. All right.
So I will introduce the program
Okay.
and you introduce yourself, and then we'll go on a short break. And during the break, we'll play a short clip, the one I sent to you. I don't know if
Oh,
you see it, the one on Facebook. You
okay.
didn't see it?
I didn't see it, and I didn't see. Sorry, I dashed in. I was like, "Oh my god, I can't be late for this."
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
So we'll play that short clip, then we'll come back and discuss. I will quickly forward it to you. So while the clip is playing, you can view it.
I can follow. Okay, no problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, my namesake. Amalola is my middle name.
Oh, really?
Mhm.
Oh, wow. That's good to know.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
wow. How come you go by, oh, we are live. Wonderful, wonderful afternoon, everyone. Wonderful afternoon, wonderful evening, wonderful night. I know there are people watching from London, from Ghana, from Nigeria, from the US, from Germany, from everywhere in the world. I want to say thank you for joining us. And welcome to a mother's body. It's been a while. Sorry, I was away. I was trying to recoup and trying to get my sister to join me on this show today. So, welcome to a mother's body raising multicultural children in the diaspora. Wow. I am excited. And the reason why I'm excited is I'm just finding out that we bear the same name. We call her PJ. I'm just finding out that she also bears a monologue. That is so interesting, honestly. So you see, I'm excited. She's a wife first, then a mother. She's a sister. She's a professional. But remember, on this show, we don't go professional. This is hands down, and that's why I say everybody join because we learn one or two things from this show. Remember, parenting is not reading on rock or stone. We fly the plane as we build it. You give birth to that child today, you start parenting. There is no handbook. It doesn't come with a manual. So we just start parenting, just like that. And that's why I say we fly it as we build it. But before I go on and tell you what our topic is going to be for today, again, like I said, I'm excited. I'm just going to zip up and let her introduce herself. Then we'll go on a break and play a short clip, and then we'll be right back. Please introduce yourself.
All right. Thank you so much for having me. When you approached me, I said, "Do you want to do this?" I was like, "Really? I'm not an expert." But at the end of the day, we're all mothers. We all kind of carry this burden. But just to introduce myself, my name is Peju Pearse. I am, like she said, a mom, a professional. I do have three beautiful children, and so I'm looking forward to sharing, also learning from you all this evening, this afternoon, wherever you may be, and hoping that we all take one or two things away from this today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Peju Pearse. But we call her PJ. That's just for us. For us. When I
Yeah.
say us, she understands what I mean by us. And I'm not going to call her Omolola because that's something I just got to find out today. And I'm so excited. Like, yay! Oh, yes, like, that name is so popular. I'm so excited. Honestly, honestly. And just like you said, parenting is not really on rock. We all I kind of come to my senses when I had my daughter, and I was like, oh my God, my parents are not here.
Mhm.
So what am I going to do?
Mhm.
Well, growing up in Nigeria, you see them bathing newborn baby and how they do all of that thing. So I'm just like, okay, hands on. Let's do this. Let's just scrub the body, rub oil, scrub the body, bathe that child like that child is going to change.
Their skin is going to come off.
I know, right?
Yeah.
It's so interesting. And I just wanted to say thank you so much to Miss Tonya Obayo. She's a huge fan of us. She's always online. Thank you for joining us. I know a lot of people are listening out there. Betty is listening. Inumidu is listening. A lot out there. I can't mention all your names. So I just want to say thank you for joining us. Again, this is a mother's burden, raising multicultural children in the diaspora, realizing that this is not something we are born with. We're not experts in this field. Even if you're a child psychologist, you can never compare the book with the practical aspect of it. And I always say something on this show. I always say that, hey, I don't come on this show as a professional. I come on this show as a mother. And today, before I get carried away and talking about why we have the show, we're going to be discussing something very interesting, and that is inclusive parenting. Living in the US, raising my children here, I understand what it meant to be inclusive in your parenting. And in this age and days, we have a lot of definition when we talk about inclusion. A lot of definition. And I know we will be branching out, but before we just branch off and off, I want us to briefly, before my producer plays the clip. What do you understand by inclusive parenting, and how do you practice that in your household?
Okay. So, when you hear the word inclusive, like you've said, that word is thrown out so much nowadays where you're like inclusive. That means everybody included, right?
Right,
Everybody needs to be
right.
part of this. So, from my perspective, when I hear inclusive parenting, like you said, living in the United States, we have um the way I was raised is definitely different from the way I'm raising my children, because now I have to be aware of the difference, right, in the culture, in their exposure. It's so funny. Some of my kids, when we're at home, when we're doing the real talk, right? They're like, "Mom, that's not how to say that word." I'm like, what do you mean that's not how to say that word? We speak Queen's English where I'm from. What are you talking about? But again, it's being open to their experiences, understanding that yes, even though I was born and raised in Nigeria, they were born and they're being raised in America. So totally different perspective, totally different way of socializing, engaging, and being open to that. That's how I say, like, I have to be open. I have to open up my mind to accept that, all right, Pedro, you're not in Nigeria. We're
Hmm.
in America and they see things differently. And you want your children to be able to relate to you. You don't want to be in a situation where they're like, my mom and this are Nigerian things, but that's not what my friends are telling me in school. That's not what my teachers are telling me in school. So being open, being fair, guiding them, I see it as the best of both worlds. So a part of me, with my culture, the American culture, and then we bring it all together and say, all right, what's best on both sides, and raise the children that way. So to me, again, it's being open and willing to listen to your children as well. To me, that's what I would consider inclusive parenting.
It's so interesting that honestly, sometimes I think some things happen only in my home. But since I started the mother's burden, I realized that, oh, so we're all on the same ship, because like you said, sometimes I think I was saying a word and my 13-year-old was like, Mommy, really?
Yeah.
That's not how they say that word. Even my 8-year-old would tell me,
Yes.
that's not how it's said, Mommy. I can't remember the word now. And he was like, no, I'm
Yeah.
saying the word. And he was saying it back to me. And I'm like, yes, that's what I'm saying. No, that's not what
No.
you're saying. So
Yeah.
I think that the thing, like you said, is being open and willing to learn. Every day I see it now, like every day I wake up, I'm like a flower that's waiting to bloom.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
because you don't
Yeah.
know what you learn from them.
Yes.
You
Yes.
know, my daughter we were looking at something, I think they call them, is it Gothic? She would tell me I'm not pronouncing it well now.
I'll take.
The Gothic way of dressing, people
Mm.
that would just wear this black
Black.
dress,
Yes.
high, and
Yes.
all of that. And then
Yes.
I actually went online on
Mhm.
Google with her, and
Mhm.
then she started showing me like there are some that is it pink Gothic.
The-
Oh, good. I don't want to mother it. I don't want her to. I don't want to be accountable to that when she gets home to later. But the thing is, like you said, we have to be open. And talking of inclusive, I wonder in my own family, we kind of, before I make any decision, like, hey guys, I'm thinking of this. What do you think about it? And like I said earlier on, there are different dynamics to being inclusive, which we will veer into later on. But I kind of, especially decision that has to do with the whole family.
yeah.
How do you include the children in making decision without them, like you said, putting on the scarf of a Nigerian mother, an American mother, and trying to blend these two caps together? How do you involve them in some decision making in the home?
And that's a really good question. Because again, like you said, we growing up, our parents made all the decisions, right? We just kind of followed, right? We just said, oh, mommy said do this, or daddy said do this, and then we follow. But here it's different. So for us, communication is key in my house. I mean, sometimes, when we're interacting with the children, especially my husband, actually, you will think their age mates. But because we're so open, and they know, we always tell them all the time. I said, this is us, right? This is family. When you're any decision that's made by anybody in this household affects everyone. So your decisions that you make outside of here, when you think mommy and daddy are not watching, or affects everyone. So we carry them along. We just say, oh, this is what we're trying to do. What do you think? Give me your thoughts, give me your ideas. And ultimately, we pick the best one, that suits our family, to say, all right guys, all right, this is kind of what we're trying to do. I need your opinion. And again, I think it helps to build that sense of belonging in a home when they're included in those types of decision making. They're like, oh yeah, mom and dad asked us this, and we give them our opinion, our ideas. And they thought about it. If we think it makes sense, we go for it. Because sometimes children, they're like, they have some ideas, but even me as mommy, I didn't even think of that. So I think that helps them. It builds their character, and hopefully as they grow older and begin to have their own families, they can incorporate that in their homes as well.
I honestly think they will, and you know the reason why? Because when you look at it, when they go to school and there is an activity in school, the teachers don't just make the decision.
Exactly.
They have to consider them and ask, not technically take their opinion or suggestion, but sometimes they inculcate some of the children's suggestion. And I think that's why we have like suggestion box, and the kids are free to make suggestions and stuff like that. And it's so interesting because my son would tell me, I am the man of the house. I pay the bills.
Of course.
So if you want to make any decision, mommy, I have to know about it. Okay, guys, we want to go to church tomorrow. I remember before we started going to my current church, we'd be like, and we used to visit my current church once in a while, or maybe once in a month or so. And we'll be like, hey guys, which church do you want us to go? And I think it got to a stage, my children were like, mommy, I think we should start going to this church. And I was like, why? And they both said whatever they wanted to say. And I sat down there thinking of, well, like you said, growing up in Nigeria, you dare not tell your parents you want to, Mom, let's go to this church. And sometimes I ask myself, am I being too laid back as a parent? Because sometimes when we compare, which we can technically not compare, but when we try to compare, it's kind of like my parents will be like, like you don't need their decision, you don't need their input. But it's interesting because we think they are little, but they know more than we do compared to when we were their age. So let's talk about making decisions. Like, do you include them in decisions like which school they go? Do they want to continue in their school every year? Or I don't know whether you pay school fees or not. Like, I pay school fees. So we have to come to the table every year to decide, like, are we going back to that school or not? So how do you do that?
So, so for us, no, we don't pay school fees as of yet. But, I do have a daughter that is getting to the college age, where we now have to start deciding, okay, what do you want to do? Again, I'm not going to choose it for you, right? So it's funny in that process. I'm like, what do you want to be when you grow up? Those conversations, like, what do you want to do? No, mommy, I'm not sure. I'm trying to stare her, but not basically putting I know where she's gifted, right? I've seen what she's capable of. So I'm trying to steer her in that right direction. But ultimately, I'm saying, hey, you're not going to live with mommy and daddy forever. You're going to be independent. You're going to have to make your own decisions. So it starts now, what do you want to do when you grow up? What do you drive passion from? Because again, like, growing up, at least I remember growing up, when we're back in high school, it's either you're a doctor or a lawyer, or, those high level positions. And, but here in America, I mean, sky's the limit. You're not tailored to one particular area of learning. You don't have to be in science. There's arts. So I'm like, what do you find passion? Because ultimately, if you think about it, even some of us are adults that went through that rigor of going through all those tough classes and saying, yes,
Science class, art
science
class,
and
I
all
want
those
to be a
things.
lawyer and all of that.
At the end of the day, if you ask me now, what do I do? Yes, I work in that field, but I have a side thing that I use my artistic side, right? Because I derive passion in it. So, growing up, I didn't even know that I had that in me, right? So it's one of those things where, again, this is a journey that you have to decide, and I make a part of that decision. I say I don't want to choose what area or field you're going to study. I can guide you and give you my opinion, based on, yes, mommy has been around for a while, right? I said, well, this is what I think, but based on your talent, based on your gifting, maybe this field is a little bit more where you should focus on. So definitely including her in those types of decisions. Again, it's for her. I'm just the guidance, right? I'm just trying to guide that ship for her. Other things, again, depending on their age, there's some things that you don't want to overlook, like my 8-year-old. I mean, something as simple as, what do you want to eat for dinner? What do you want to eat for dinner tonight? Again, it kind of helps. It's not mommy saying, all right, here's the timetable, this is what we are eating, what do you have, and letting them help also, like, oh, mommy, okay, we're gonna eat this, all right, I'm gonna help you tonight since I picked this dinner. So again, so age appropriate decision making things, we kind of try to include them in those as well. Again, I think it helps build, again, as they grow older, right? You're gonna have to make decisions. No one's gonna be making decisions for you. So again, just the little things, what do you want to wear to school tomorrow? Pick out your clothes.
It's kind of like you jumped right in, because I wanted us to kind of stay on how do we include our children. Like my 8-year-old on school morning, they wear school uniforms. So
Okay.
my 8-year-old on school morning will be like, mommy, I want toast and scrambled egg. And he will go to the kitchen. He is one child that likes cooking. He's always there with
Wow.
me. He will be in the kitchen and he will scramble his egg and fry the scrambled egg. He will make it and he will toast his bread. And he will just be like, mommy, can you help me make a cup of tea? So how do we start including them? I know that for him, since he was, I think, around age 5 or 4, he likes some food that he used to like some food. Like his favorite food, he would rather make it himself, like
Wow.
noodle. He would tell me, I want to make it myself. Teach me how to make it. He will come to the kitchen with me and teach me and, watch how I make it. And I'll encourage him to make it as well. So how do we start including our children in simple things like, what do you guys want to eat? Because when I used to do that, I thought I was indulging them inappropriately. And I say that word because I remember sometimes people will be like, Lola, why should you let the children make decision for what they want to eat? And I think partially that was the way I was brought up, because my parents would ask, what do you guys want to eat? So I got used to that. I am not, of course, there are days when my mom will be like, Laye, this is what I have, that's what you guys have.
Yeah.
If you don't want to eat it, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think my producer just told me we have to go on a break now.
Okay.
When we come back, we're going to be talking on. But no, you know what? Maybe before we go on a break, let's talk on how do we start introducing them to be included in decision making in the family.
Yeah. I mean, again, that's a I don't it's not a tough one, but it's one of those, like I said earlier, I think it depends on their maturity level. There's some things that, I mean, if I tell my 8-year-old, she'll just be looking at me like, okay, I have no clue what mommy is talking about here. So I think it depends on their maturity level. And when it gets to, again, each child is different. And that's the other thing too. each child, is different. They mature at different stages. So there's an inherent, I guess, ability for parents to know when your child is ready for those decision making processes. You just know, your children. So for me, I think it's at that point, again, depending on, again, the level of the situation or what that decision is about, that you can kind of now include the children to say, okay, all right, this is my oldest, she's at that level of maturity, and we can include her in this decision. So I would definitely say their maturity level plays into it somewhat.
So when we're talking about maturity level, like you and I know that there is no age limit, there is no age label on maturity. A child of 5-year-old may be ready to
Yeah,
take on task of a child of 8 or
yeah,
10.
yeah.
You know, and I think I kind of introduced my children. I think from the age of 3, I started like throwing it out to them, like, hey, what do you want to wear to church today? Go pick out your clothes. And this is something that I found out that most I don't know if I should say most parents. I don't want to just say mothers because sometimes fathers are involved, or no, most of the time, fathers are involved as well. Most parents would be like, okay, your cloth, which I was guilty of sometimes, just lay out the cloth for them. Especially, I don't know if you've observed that most Nigerian parents are not patient.
No, we're not. It depends on the day. It depends on the
Yeah.
day. Yeah.
Honestly, I told myself, I think I started telling myself, and last night I was thinking about it again, that, okay, you have to be patient. You just have to be patient. Like I realized that out of the fact that we are not patient, we don't include that.
Yeah, we want to get it done quickly. Like, what, you're just going to wait. Oh, mama, must slow me down. I need to do this real quick. I have other things I need to get done. But, like I said, like even talking about the clothes, picking out their clothes for school. I mean, yes, when they were young, I will be the one, I will pick it, I will iron it, get it ready. Yeah. But then after a while, I'm like, I want to kill myself now. These children are old enough to be able to pick out their clothes, iron it, except for the little one. I mean, but the little one, I still pick out her clothes. Maybe not iron, I still pick it out. So it got to be that, okay, mommy is done. We are moving on. Mom is moving on. You guys are now in charge of this. It's your clothing. You pick what you want to wear. Even my 8-year-old now, sometimes even if I help her to pick something, mommy, no, I don't like what you picked. So I'm like,
Oh, we
thank
fight.
you.
We fight. All right, wonderful people out there. I don't mean to cut you short, PJ, but
No
we
problem.
are going to go on a break now, and then it's going to take a twist from there when we come back. Remember, it's still a mother's body, and it is Omolola online, and with me is PJ. When we come back, we will continue this interesting conversation. Take it away, producer.
Oh, hold on just a minute there, Buster.
Dad, I'm supposed to pick up Emily in like 10 minutes. I gotta go.
Well, Emily can wait for a little bit, can't she? You got a minute to talk to your old man, don't you? Have a seat. Son, you're not a kid anymore.
Oh, no. I go to health class, Dad. I already know all this stuff.
Well, they don't teach you about everything in health class. Okay, Mr. Smarty Pants? So just listen. When boys and girls get a little older, they start getting interested in one another, right?
And non-binary people, agendered, intergendered, FTX, gender fluid people.
What?
There's more than just boys and girls now, Dad. And they're not girls. They're women.
Yeah, okay, sure. Well, my point is that sex is it's a very important decision.
How are you defining sex? Sex is different things to different people.
I guess when a penis goes into a vagina.
What if there's 2 men or 2 women or more?
More?
How would you define sex with multiple simultaneous partners? Or what if somebody's undergone genital reconstruction or is intersex?
No, but I'm just talking about normal, straight.
Normal. Come on, Dad.
Okay, here we go. Let me ask you this. Son, are you attracted to women?
Yes, but I'm young.
Is Emily a woman?
Biologically.
Okay, you're attracted to women. Emily's a woman. So if you were to have sex with Emily...
I wouldn't just have sex with Emily. We'd have to make that decision together. Homecoming's not an excuse to ignore consent.
I'm not saying to ignore consent. I never said ignore consent. You and Emily, right, consensually decide to have sex.
Vaginal?
Yes.
Just two of us.
How many people do you want? Yes, just the two of you, Colin.
And I'm playing the traditional male role.
Go to homecoming.
You seem like you really wanted to talk about this.
No, I don't want to talk about anything. Ever again.
So I can go.
Please do. Out. Thank you. Don't forget your corsage.
Hey, Dad.
Yeah.
How do I look?
You look very handsome, son.
That's gender coding, but...
Get out of my house! Have fun.
Goodness. Oh my goodness.
I know.
Wow.
Oh, I know, right? I know.
That's the age we live in right now.
Yes, right now. Yes, yes. That's the age we live in right now. Oh goodness, that's so interesting. All right, wonderful people, welcome back to A Mother's Body, Raising Multicultural Children in the Diaspora. My name is Omolola, and with me on set is PJ. Peju
Hello,
Pearse.
everyone.
Yes, welcome back. Now, I said we've been discussing on how, to introduce your children to inclusion. PJ, what did you think about that short clip that we just watched?
Wow. It's loaded. It's loaded, and it also raises a level of I guess it makes you uncomfortable, right? A little bit when you start hearing things like this. But again, in the age that we live in, I mean, our kids know more than us now. I mean,
Yes.
like that clip just showed. I mean, here's a dad trying to have the birds and the bees conversation, and the son just took it to the next level. And dad is like looking like, okay, it looks like you know this more than I do already. So definitely, I'm not surprised. Our kids know a lot more. They're exposed to a lot more. I mean, in the age of gadgets, right? Phones, more social media, friends. Even if you can control things in your home, you can't control it when they go to school. You can't control who they hang out with at school either. So definitely, it's worrisome knowing that your children are exposed to that, because I won't lie to myself. I know they are. Outside of home. But at the end of the day, it's what values have we instilled in our children, right? What values have we instilled in them? What morals, ethics do they have from home? And having those conversations, I always say, I said, you're a peer, so you can't just go out there and mess up. When you go out, you're not just going out by yourself. You are representing the family. So the way you appear, the way you speak, the way you conduct yourself outside matters a lot, because you are representing the entire family when you step out of this house. And you hope that, when you constantly have those honest conversations with your children, that something will shall stay, that something will stay in there, and they will remember, and obviously we'll continue to pray for our kids. Definitely, prayer is something that, you can't just
You
stop
can never
praying.
miss. Yeah, you can't miss it with them.
Yeah, you just have to keep praying. The world is the world, right?
It is.
It
It is, and
is.
it is so interesting because I remember my daughter. They go to a private school, and I think when she was 6, I was driving her to school now. A brother was about 1 year old at that time. Yeah, I think one. And I was at the red light. Turns green, and my daughter asked me, "Mommy, what can I start having a boyfriend?" I was like, you can imagine,
Yes.
But I guess I was shocked, but I wasn't too shocked because I was kind of prepared for it. And then, fast forward to most recent, like a year, 2 years ago, we talked about, gender identity and stuff, but I didn't go into detail, hoping that at 10, 11, I should just keep it at that age for you. My daughter came home and oh my God, she had a fit. She was like, Mommy, why didn't you tell me about homophobes? I was like, huh?
Wow.
Exactly my reaction. And this is where I thought about inclusive parenting.
Yeah. Yeah.
How much should we include them?
Mm.
How far should we include them? Like you rightly say, it is out there.
Yeah. It is.
How do we bring them on to the discussion table? How do we? I had to apologize to her, mind you. Like, hey, I'm sorry, I didn't know you were ready.
Mhm.
And she was like, oh, thanks to you. My friends were talking about it in class. And I was like, my mom didn't tell me about that.
Oh.
Like, I looked like, Mommy, you need to see how I looked. I was like, oh, my baby, I'm so sorry. I am not your baby. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, so my thing is, at what, and that takes us back to the initial, our last question, like, at what age should we start pushing them in? Miss Tony is on, and I know she would want to contribute to this
Mhm.
as well. I really, really would love to hear your input. I really, really love to hear your input. I cannot hear you. I can't hear you. We really can't hear you. I still can't hear you, but while the producer is trying to bring you on, I would want PG and I to, I mean, at what age and at what stage, if
Hmm.
that man was a Nigerian father, can you imagine what he would do?
I can't. No, I can't imagine. I mean, like I said, they're children. Like I said, mature at different levels, and it's hard to pinpoint. Oh, this is okay. All my children at 6 years old, I'm going to start telling them about this.
Mm,
I have a 13-year-old son.
mm,
That's when I compare his level of maturity to say my 8-year-old, I'm probably going to have the conversation with my 8-year-old first than him, because he's still very, innocent in his ways. Still believes in Santa Claus. So those type of things, and you're like, no, he's not ready. He's not ready. But again,
I think that's particularly with boys.
mhm,
I think that's particularly with boys.
it's just like just in his own little world, compared to my daughters, right? You can kind of tell the level that they are. You're like, that's in the conversation.
Yeah, yeah,
you know
yeah.
and it comes about. I think for my oldest, it was more of when she started coming home with some of the things they were learning in school. At that point, you're like, oh, they're teaching them in school anyway. We must well have the conversation.
Mm, mm,
We must well start having those conversations. And to me, that was the trigger. That was the trigger.
mm.
Yeah.
Miss Tony, can you join us now? I still cannot hear you. I'm trying to facilitate with the technical.
Me
Okay,
hear
yes,
you right now.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. I can
Oh,
hear you.
okay. Thank you so much.
Welcome. Thank you for joining
Thank you,
us.
PJ, for speaking my mind.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah, but what I want to I'm not adding anything to it, but I just want to say a quick one is that communication, you said, is vital, and communication is from age 0 when they were born till you pass away as parents.
Yeah. Yeah.
So by the time you keep the communication open with them, I like to listen to children talking while they are eating.
Yeah.
They discuss a lot of things. I like to listen to them when they are playing. Because you're not just gathering the kids together and say, let us talk. You're constantly be in tune with them.
Yes. Yes.
Parents should be the balance between the world, the child. You have to create that balance. You have to be that equilibrium. As I was taking a walk, something just came to my mind about me being an equilibrium. You have to be able to balance the world and the child. This is your child. This is what they're pumping into their head in school.
Yeah.
And you have to know what is going on with friends, with school, so that you can balance it. Just like you said, children are individual. They grow up differently, maturity, everything. But you have to be there to listen.
Yes, yes.
You have
And they have
be-
to know that you are there too. That,
Yes.
they don't
Yes,
have
yes.
parents that are not, in tune to
Ignoring them.
In
Mhm.
tune, you have to be
Mm.
in tune with them spiritually, physically, in all area of life. Parenting these days, as you are saying that children have gone, they know so much. Also, we parents, we're also global. We don't care anymore. You have to be, yeah. For me, I'm always down to earth, please.
Yeah.
You have to be a parent indeed, and indeed, you have to be there.
Yes.
Because every child needs a mother that is there. That is communication itself.
Yes. Totally agree. Totally agree.
Yes. It goes beyond picking your shoes, which food you want to eat. It goes beyond that.
Yeah.
I want to listen to messages they cannot tell me.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
There are some messages they cannot tell you.
Mm.
And you have to pick it out yourself and ask them that question. Yes. And you look at them straight in the eye, and they begin to tell you. That means you're in tune with them. You're not just leaving them to grow by themselves.
Exactly. Exactly.
You can say, go and get the clothes you want to wear. Sorry, me, I like to go back to my English. I don't like to speak
It's
Oyibo
okay.
again.
Please,
It's
it's
okay.
okay.
Go and pick the clothes you want to wear. Go and do this call you want to wear. It's okay. But you have to be in tune with them. My son, if you buy clothes he doesn't like, he's going to hide it under the bed.
Yep.
And me, I like color coding with his own brother because they're two boys.
Yeah.
So they must wear the same clothes. But he doesn't like it. So
Yeah.
when immediately I get it, I just don't even bother to buy it.
Yeah.
You have to be in tune to them. It's not the physical is so good, but also you having that deep connection with your kids. It's
Ritual
good.
attachment.
You know, we mother of these days, we are too busy. I can let dollar.
Yes.
I can let pound me. Go so good to go G. God is not going to ask you about that one. I know I'm going to Omolola now. On that day. God give you a command. What about the gift that God has given to you? What are you going to appoint to your maker?
Yeah.
That is where I stand. So communication is from day one. You give birth to that child, you start communicating.
Yeah.
You start creating time to have a time to talk. There's a time.
And in the process of communicating, my thing is, when do we include them in decision making?
You are making the difference like this. When you're communicating with your child, you're training them to listen to you, to be in tune with you. When it comes to decision making, there are just some decisions you don't just throw to kids.
Definitely.
And PJ said, she looks at the maturity.
Yeah.
There must be age relevant, age appropriate. If those ones are done. And also you must have communication is open. You must sit down with your kids, have a meeting 3 times, once in a month. They know on this day you're having a meeting.
One-on-one. I just started something like that with my 16-year-old,
Ooh.
And I'm like, all right. I said weekly we're gonna have one-on-ones. We're
Yeah,
just
one-on-one.
It's funny you said that. You know what I used to do with my daughter, which is something I wanted to go back to doing, is we have our girls outing day where we just go out for lunch or we just go to see a movie. And with my son, he likes going to Dave and Buster, and I am just so not into this gaming thing with him. But that's what he wants to do. So we go see and another thing he likes nature. He just wants to be out. Let's go for a walk. I'll ride my scooter and we'll go together. And I found out that when I go and walk with him, things that I think he's too little to be involved in, he's bringing it up. Mommy, this
That's
is
right.
when this
That's
happens.
right. There must
What
be
do you
general
think
meeting.
about this? Yes.
There must be
know,
general meeting. I bring everybody to the table, and say, hey, you, take your time on this matter. I'm telling you, siblings, I'm saying this to him in front of all of you so that we can all learn.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't change, I'm going to hold you and you accountable for his behavior.
Yeah. Yeah.
That means that they're not only accountable to me, they're accountable to each
Each
other.
other. Yes, yes. And they see, these children, they're so funny. Especially those that are blessed to have siblings. What you do for one, you've got to be consistent as a parent,
Mhm.
right? You can't do one thing for one and not do for the other. Same thing goes with behaviors and everything. Once you set the expectation, they know that no, don't do that. Or if mommy should see that's not what And like you said, ma, they hold each other accountable.
Yeah.
And they understand that no, that is not allowed in this house, so you can't be doing that.
Yeah.
And that goes a long way. So even when mommy or daddy are not home, you know that okay, they are watching each other's back.
And that goes back to what PJ said earlier on. And Miss Tony had been in the show since the inception of the show, when you mentioned something on the values, and that is very, very important.
Yeah.
You can never ever over emphasize the values.
Yes, that values are to be inculcated at the general meeting. At the general meeting, we are going to talk about it.
Yeah.
We're going to sit down and lay down this family, these are our core values. I tell my kids when they were little, my first son was 3, I told him, I hate lazy people. No, there are 3 things I hate. I hate people that are selfish. I hate people that lie. And I hate laziness. Those are the 3 things my father hates so much. And I keep drumming it to my kids' ears. I'm living with just one now. I tell him also, whenever I'm seeing something that is going, I tell her this is the core that we stand for in this family. We have each other's back. We are not selfish. We are selfless.
Yeah.
We don't lie, and we are not lazy.
Yeah.
And I have to constantly be bringing them back to essence. It's not something you're going to say 5 years, and 5 years down the line, you're saying it again. You have to continuously say it, and you have to be living that life also. You are not just, you have to live that life.
Yes, they have to see it in you. They have to see that you're living it.
Bring them to the table. Bring them to the table, and let children know that, so back to the Saturday night, we are going to eat biscuits. All of us are going to do dinner. And we're going to sit down, mommy and daddy is going to talk to us. Everybody is set. Okay, mommy, what have you got to say? And you have to bring yourself to the table also. I tell my children my mistakes so much. And
it's
I'm
funny
always
you said that, the story, because I remember growing up, my family is, I don't want to use the word enmeshed, because we are enmeshed in a healthy way. You say you bring yourself to the table. If my father did something in those days, if he did something, I grew up in a military environment. My father was a military personnel. And you think my mother is a military man. You think she was actually the one that if my father did something and we all come back, especially at night when we are watching the NTA news, and maybe somebody just bring up something, and everybody, if it was my father, and that's the way we do with each other. And that's why I'm thinking that, and that's the next thing we're going to talk about. Where do you draw the boundaries in inclusive parenting? Everybody will be like, daddy, you shouldn't have done it that way. We are that open in my family. And the father is quick, and I think I learned that from him. Quick to apologize. Oh, really?
Yes.
I did that? Oh, I'm sorry.
That's my father too. My father will apologize to you.
Yeah. But my mother, the military one, like, what do you mean? I should apologize to you? No, I don't need your input in this, And like you said earlier on, PJ, we cannot raise our children. The children we're raising now, we can't raise them like the way we were raised. And it's funny, my parents and I were discussing, we just talked about that last night. I said, look, Mom, you cannot just sit and say, hey, I'm not to become, go and do this. Go. No. I say, here we do it together. Because if it's too overwhelming, all of magic, it's like she would just be frustrated. So my thing is, I know we have a few minutes, and honestly, this happens to me all the time when we are discussing something important or something exciting. That's when time will go. PJ will have to come back on this.
Yes, she has to.
You have to come back. We have to finish this. Yeah, because I before my producer starts saying
Time up. Yeah.
So the thing is, briefly, I wanted us to go on where do we draw boundaries in inclusive parenting? But from everything you've said, PJ, I want you to just sum it all up and briefly just sum it all up for us. How do we approach inclusive parenting? And when we say inclusive parenting, how should we include our little people?
Like I said before, especially, again, speaking from this environment, right? You have to. You don't have a choice because we don't want to lose our children to the world, right? So we as parents have to. It's almost a mindset shift, right?
And that's difficult.
And that's very difficult. Shifting that mindset to say, all right, yes, we thank God we're in this environment. It's better for our families. We are raising children in America, not in Nigeria, not, any other country in Africa. And we have to be open enough to know that their experiences are going to be different from ours, regardless. Yeah, just because, we give them a Nigerian name.
Yes.
Mean...
They're Nigerians.
Yeah, they're Americans.
Yeah, my son will tell you, I'm American.
Yes, they're Americans, and they see things the American way. So we have to almost, as a parent, you almost have to take a step back and be like, okay, what message am I trying to bring to my child? What am I trying to instill in my child? And be open enough and be honest with ourselves too, to understand that, all right, you are not American. You are really, at the end of the day, the Nigerian in me is still there. One of the things I do, my kids, even I've been in this for a long time, but when I interact with my children, they believe I just came from Nigeria yesterday. Just because I don't, I appreciate the culture back home very much, and I want them to know that just because other children are doing this outside doesn't mean you can bring it to their house. Yeah. It doesn't work that way. But being fair, being their friend when needed, but also being the parent. You don't want to be too friend. They still need to respect you. They still need to know that you as a parent are the authoritative figure in the home. And that it's not them, it's not this, mommy, I said this is what I want to do. I know that it doesn't work like that. Yes, I'll be open to understand your views and all that, but at the end of the day, I am still the parent, and I'm still going to guide you, and lead you. So to me, so in summary, I would say those are the key factors, right? Being open, being honest with ourselves as a parent, that yes, they are Americans, but I am still the parent and I'm still the authoritative figure in the home.
And especially for them, we have the Nigerian factor.
Yes. Yes.
To add to the American culture.
Yes.
What she said is germane. You are a parent, you are not their friend.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And if you go against the core value of what my family stands for, you go against me.
Yeah.
And I am the one that is going to give account over your life to God.
Yes.
I don't want to. I will not leave my responsibility. I will not leave my responsibility not to give you food.
Mm.
And so also I will not leave that responsibility of not guiding you right.
Exactly.
I always tell my kids, life experience is just the same. Whether you guys are flying airplane in your generation to walk from here to the moon, you die, you live, you are born, you live, you die.
Yeah.
And how you comport yourself while you're here is far important. That's why I'm here before you to guide you.
Exactly.
If I say it is wrong, my dear, it is 100% wrong.
Believe me. Mm-hmm.
And I'm not here to hurt you. I'm here to love you.
Yes.
And that love is unconditional.
Yes.
Thank you so
and
much.
Also, the love of God is most important. That's what the Bible says.
Yes.
That's right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Miss Toyi. Honestly, I want to thank you, ladies, for joining me on the Mother's Burden today and not making it just Omonola, and everybody will be like, okay, we're bored. What's she saying? Thank you
Oh,
so
look at
much. I
you.
want to thank you, PJ. I
Yeah.
told PJ, like, hey, PJ, I need a guest. Can you be my guest? Less than 2 weeks ago, right? And
Yeah.
she was
Yeah.
like, oh my God, like, okay.
That's
I was like, what
good.
am I supposed to do?
Oh
you
my
There
God,
know?
you
don't
go.
worry,
There you
just
go.
flow. We're all mothers, and
Yeah.
that's the fun part of this. And just to sum it up, we hear it there, the values we inculcate in our children, and the openness, bringing ourselves to the table, being the authoritative parents, even though we are including them in decision making. And then we always have to be conscious of our children's maturity. Developmental age is different from chronological age.
Yeah.
A child may be 20, but developmentally may still be 11
Yeah.
or 5.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So before we just go on ahead, and maybe if that father had tried to sample with the kid before that time, would have, known what to expect from the kid.
Yeah.
But that's being said, parents out there, remember, we are caretaker. At the end of the day,
Mm.
we'll give account.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
will give account.
Yeah.
I entrusted this child into your care. How did you manage this child?
Mhm.
We are like the servants that were given talents.
Yeah.
How did we invest our talents?
Yeah.
And our kids are watching us. They are seeing. And if you have not subscribed or liked my page, please go to A Mother's Burden on YouTube, subscribe, like, and share, and go to Aaron's Place on Facebook. Share my page and like my page. We come up with different tips and advices for parenting. We don't know it, we are not experts. And that's why we don't come on this platform as professional. We come as parents, hands
Mothers.
on. And until I see you same times in the next, same time in the next 2 weeks, remember, I'm a caretaker, you're a caretaker, and we will give account. And keep shining and stay wonderful. Have a very, very beautiful week ahead.
Thank you, everyone. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
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 Bye.